Hey, all I feel like I ever hear anymore are just so many businesses, business owners, etc., talking about leads, garbage leads, their pipeline is cold, people aren't converting, so much of that garbage. And in fact, it's kind of true because things that were true 2 months ago aren't even true today in terms of lead acquisition, getting new customers, filling up your pipeline, and things like that. So something that we're going to be going over is literally how to make it so that you can have more stability in your pipeline, generate brand new leads in terms of attracting them, qualifying, and converting them all on autopilot. So we'll see you inside.
3, 2, 1.
When you want your leads and sales on autopilot and to accelerate your business, you come to the source. The Convert Source Podcast with Alex Kubasek. Let's go.
Okay, welcome to a new episode of the Convert Source Podcast. We are going to be talking about everything leads today. So often I am literally hearing so many business owners, companies, great and small. Everybody is having this problem. You've obviously heard the adage, people that are as literally rich as could possibly be have the exact same problems as people that are as poor as can be. It's just the magnitude of the problem is exacerbated a lot of the time with more money. So that being the case, not necessarily the wealth part, but that being the case in terms of huge corporations and small mom and pop shops having a hard time with leads these days is really no fault of their own per se, but the thing that needs to really start to happen with these businesses is they need to start implementing two things. They need to start looking at their data and what they're literally putting into their engine. The fuel, like what fuel are they filling up their pipeline with? Their engine, if you will. The thing that literally converts your people that are in terms of a prospect to a lead into a sale. What are you filling up your engine with? And then the other thing is having a system, having an engine in place so that your engine is attracting, qualifying, most importantly, and then converting your ideal leads and sales on autopilot. Obviously, as you guys know, who have ever watched the show before, we are huge here on automating your leads and sales because there's no other reason to be hitting the phones, banging away, cold calling these people. And there's nothing wrong with picking up the phone, but wouldn't you rather pick up the phone and actually call somebody who's going to take your phone call, who's going to be interested in what you have to say, who is literally going to pretty much already know what you're going to be talking about, be interested. And so essentially what you're doing is through your nurturing process, your qualifying process with this engine, this leads engine, you will have literally started to remove all of the no's. And when you remove all the no's and objections, what do you have left? Yes. So essentially what we're going to be talking about today is filling up your pipeline with people who are just like that, who are literally about to come to you with their pen in hand, ready to sign a check. And no, it's not too good to be true. It happens every single day. There are corporations, great and small, businesses, great and small, that are doing this every single day. And it's not a huge secret. It's just a matter of execution. In digital marketing, and really even in business, there's no, magic formula per se. In terms of being successful, it's the execution is what actually makes you a success or not. And then obviously not quitting. But we can get into that another time. But a lot of people, they come to me with the objection of, we don't have the resources. It's not necessarily about the resources. And no, I'm not one of those Facebook guys that says you can literally start out with $2 a day on an ad and you'll be a millionaire the next day. No, that's not how it works. If it was, all of us would be creating the next Tesla or, this, that, and the other thing, because our resources would be unlimited because our return on ad spend would be through the roof. But that's not how it works. We can become our own bank, but there's a formula and there's a way that you have to do it in terms of building out your engine, filling up your pipeline or that specific engine with the right ideal people. And that's really where it starts. So the first part of today's episode is going to be talking specifically about how do we look at data? Where do we get the data from? Of course, everybody that knows anything really about marketing these days, or is a business owner and has dabbled a little bit in terms of online sales or lead generation, knows about like the buzzwords like boosted post, for Facebook ads, or Google ads, or more recently TikTok and Snapchat ads and things like that, or lookalike audience. So they know all of these buzzwords. Okay. And for those of you who might not even know, this is a great opportunity because you're unjaded. You've not been punched in the face by doing all the wrong things first. And so now you have the opportunity to do all of your first things right. So for those of you who don't know, a lookalike audience is simply a mirrored list on like Facebook, for example. So you have a customer list, right? Or you have a ton of people who have engaged with you on Instagram or your Facebook page or something. And you want to create an audience, a bigger audience of people just like that. So going back to what we were talking about, filling up your pipeline with your ideal leads and people who are going to convert in your funnel. Let's say that you are an avid Instagram influencer or creator, or you have a ton of engagement on your Instagram page or your email list, etc. Let's just stick with Instagram or Facebook for just a second, and I'll explain why. So let's say that you get all of your engagement from Instagram, let's just say, or Facebook, or your Facebook and Instagram page, and you want to do business with and start to monetize people just like that. They watch all your videos, they DM you, they save all of your posts, or maybe not all your posts, but there's a lot of engagement going on your Facebook or Instagram page. And so now what you want to say is, all right, well, instead of me having to continue to bang away on Instagram and work so hard to get more of these people and create content and scale my business, because truthfully, if you're scaling your business, you're not necessarily the one creating the content, or vice versa. Because now if you're scaling your business, you've started to bring on other people to help you do that. So now we're saying, all right, we know that we get the best ROI from our engagement on Instagram. So how do we get more people like that? Well, what we do is we go into the good old Facebook Business Manager platform. We go to the audiences section, and we create what's called a custom audience. For those of you who don't know what a custom audience is, it's like a seed list. It's something you're uploading into the platform or creating in the platform of those people that you are trying to create a broader audience that looks just like that. Does that make sense? So instead of just having one person that engages, that saves your post, that DMs you, etc., now what you're doing is you're multiplying that exact same person into millions. And over the years, it has gone from like 1% equals like a million people. Basically, it's 1% of the people on Facebook that match your seed list, et cetera, et cetera. It used to go from 1 million. Now, then it was 2 million. Now it's 2.75 million. So like it's continuing to get bigger as you do. Now you can go from as small as 1% all the way up to 10%. Which is a very large audience. And, we can definitely go into that and those mechanics another time. But for right now, obviously for this show's purposes, we're talking about simply how to fill up your pipeline with the people that you actually want to do business with. In a nutshell, that's what we're talking about today. So now I've, basically said to Facebook, okay, I only want to target and I want to start to scale my business. But I only want to do business with people that have engaged with my Instagram. You can do that. But the thing is that not only can you engage with those people, but now you can create millions of people just like that to start to get new eyeballs and fresh blood into your funnel. So then you create what's called a lookalike audience. And you can do it, so that you're seeing as many as 2.75 as I create this podcast, to as small as 2.75 million people, or as many as over 10, 15 million people. I recommend starting out between like 1 to 3%, literally just because, depending on how big your seed list is. So, like, for example, the general rule of thumb is you want to make sure that your seed list, your custom audience, is between 1,000 and 70,000 people, because that's just enough for the algorithm to bite off and chew and find people with those exact same traits all on Facebook and Instagram to serve your ad to. So, of course, like I said, we can go over the mechanics of that another time. Feel free to reach out to us, support@convertsource.com. Definitely let us know if that's something you want to see, and we'd be happy to put something like that together. We also have trainings that we have right now where in our members areas, you're literally going to be able to learn exactly how to do Facebook advertising mastery, TikTok advertising mastery, Instagram advertising mastery, Google Ads advertising. Well, like all of this stuff. We have we have platforms for that you're literally able to learn all of this stuff and be able to basically get the answers to the test without having to waste a bunch of time and money. So support@convertsource.com. Let us know. We'll be happy to hook you up with that and put you into that members area. So in terms of bringing it back to how to create a larger list of people that we want to do business with. So now the reason why I was saying before you could use an email list or a list of phone numbers or zip codes, addresses, things like that, different data points, it's great. And the more data points that you can give to the algorithm to create a lookalike audience, or in Google's case, a similar audience, the better, because then it has more fields to match, more data points to match with other people just like that on Facebook and Instagram. But the thing is, the reason why I said it's sometimes, at least right now after iOS 14.5, it's better to have a lookalike audience, or it's more valuable to start off with lookalike audiences of people who have engaged with your Facebook and Instagram pages. And the reason being is because those audiences and those data points are already native to Facebook. Those data points are already housed on Facebook. So therefore, the algorithm does not have to work harder, because it doesn't have to worry about people who have opted in or out of tracking from Apple's iOS 14.5. Essentially what Apple's update did was it offered the ability for people to opt out of cookie pixel tracking on digital platforms. And so the majority of people obviously are going to opt out of that tracking, because apparently digital folks are the CIA. So in this case, because Facebook and Instagram audiences and those those data points are housed on Facebook and Instagram, the lookalike audiences and the custom audiences are far more accurate to be able to create much broader lookalike audiences to target new prospects that are just like your seed audience or your custom audience. So that's one way to do it. Another way to do it, like I said, was you could have a great big email list. And like I said, I recommend between 1,000 and 70,000 contacts with as many data points as you can provide. Typically, you want to make sure they have a first name, last name, email address, and if you can get it, a phone number. It's more specifically a mobile phone number. The reason being is because you can even have an email list just to collect and opt into things for coupons and discounts. And you can have multiple emails, but you really only have one phone number. And typically your Facebook and Instagram account are only going to be registered to that phone number. So again, it's far more valuable to have something that is really only like a 1-to-1 matching ratio. This one phone number is to this one Facebook or Instagram ID. So in this case, an email list is fantastic, very versatile as well. Something else you could do is basically launch what's called a video views campaign on Facebook or Instagram. And let's say you have a piece of content that's like 3 minutes long. You want to make sure that it's long enough to where it's providing value, and that people who would actually finish the video content, those people that are going to finish like a 3 or 5 minute video on Facebook or Instagram are definitely going to be very valuable, because they decided to pay attention all the way until the end. So what you can do is you can create lookalike audiences off of people who have viewed a certain percentage or more of that particular piece of content. You can create a lookalike audience, and then you can start, and right there, is an automated audience of people who are educated about your particular value proposition or skill set or experience or message. And you can create a much larger audience of that simply with lookalike audiences. So right there is one area where you're able to say, okay, I can start to fill up my funnel, my pipeline with quality individuals. That's one fantastic way to do it. It's very accurate, or for the most part, it's very accurate. Like I said, with more data points that you give the algorithm. The way that, because of all of the different changes that Facebook and Instagram have had to go through, and by the way, it's not just Facebook and Instagram. You can use these lookalike things with, or lookalike audiences with Google. You can use them with TikTok. You can use them with Snapchat, etc. So it's really good to have these automated audiences populating for you so that you can basically input them into one of those ad platforms. And then you can blow them up into much bigger prospect audiences to start to get warmer type eyeballs on your product service and start to fill up your funnel and pipeline with more ideal customers or leads, etc. Another way to, excuse me, another way to start to do it is leveraging what's called third-party data. Everybody's heard of first-party data. It's basically like a custom audience, an email list, etc. Excuse me. Being that Facebook and Instagram have gone through so much change over like the last just couple of years in terms of their targeting, what they have on the platform, what they allow you to target, different special categories, different settings you have to do depending on what type of business you are, it's very confusing and it's very difficult to be able to target effectively on the platform in a native capacity, meaning targeting interests that are like already on Facebook or Instagram, for example. Because of privacy things and all the different gyrations and variations that they've gone through, they've had to remove a lot of targeting. It really started with being able to target certain zip code percentages of income. Now, you didn't know what type of income they had, but you knew here were zip codes that had the top 10% of wealth or 5% or this, that, or the other thing to be able to target your product more effectively. Nobody likes to have something put in front of them or an ad served to them that is completely irrelevant. So for example, if my product is very expensive, but it provides great value to the marketplace, I'm obviously not going to try to put that product in front of somebody who can't afford it. A, it's going to make them feel really bad about it. And B, I'm going to be wasting money putting it in front of somebody who is never going to convert with me. So I would rather make sure that I'm serving my ad to somebody who A, could pretty much afford it, and B, it's going to make it so that my message is only being delivered to somebody who's going to convert with me. So it's a win-win on both sides. For all intents and purposes, in a nutshell, we're not putting it in front of people who would get, down or like feel bad that they couldn't afford it, but we're also making it so that we're serving both of our needs and saying, I'm also spending my dollars in front of people who are going to be able to convert with my service. Now, another thing that you can do if you really want to start to bring in new eyeballs, let's say that you're a wealth manager, for example, or a wealth advisor, and you have an expensive service, but you know that it's going to be so valuable to young folks. Young folks don't have any money yet, especially if you're a wealth advisor targeting young people to get them started. Something you could do is really start to offer payment plans or different ways to get them into your funnel that is attractive to them and also advantageous for you, but you start to usher in new blood into your funnel. So that's another way where you can start to really attract different types of and convert leads and sales within your funnel to nurture them and convert them on autopilot. But essentially, coming back to that second thing that I was talking about that really helps with targeting to fill up your leads or your pipeline with qualified prospects and leads, obviously now that, Facebook's and Instagram's targeting is so bad, is third-party data. You could do something like Oracle audiences. You could go to LiveRamp. You could go to Deep Sync Labs. There are plenty of different ways that you can integrate those third-party data services with your ad accounts. Now, obviously, to kind of put it in a different term, for example, let's say that you wanted to do with email marketing. Back in the day, you would want to, email market to new people to start to build your opt-in list. Well, what you would do a lot of the time is, if you didn't have a lot of resources to run like ads, because back then really the only ad game in town was Google and that was expensive, you purchased a list. Of course, there were requirements on it saying you can only hit this list so many times before you can't do it anymore. So you would purchase a list. Hopefully it was big enough so that whenever you ran a few marketing pieces to it, you offered them something for free, they took it, now you have a legal opt-in list. Well, here, with third-party data, it's kind of the same thing. You're basically taking behavioral data. So let's say that you are a DSW warehouse, shoes, and you want to start targeting all the people who are currently in the market shopping for shoes that you just got in. So like, let's say that you just got in the newest this, that, or the other thing pair of shoes, like the newest pair of flip-flops that are trendy. And you want to start getting traffic for those specific types of shoes. Well, what you're going to do is you're going to have these third-party data providers build an audience of people who are in market and behaviorally looking for those exact shoes so that you can start to advertise to them, so that you can start to pull them from your competitors and bring them into your funnel. So there you have very highly motivated and qualified leads. They are now coming into your funnel because now they've hit your website. We've captured data from them. They've started to add things to their cart, and they've started to automatically qualify themselves, right? It's like invisible sales. Like it's an invisible salesperson that is nurturing them to convert, right? And this works exactly the same way for leads. Let's say that you were a service provider like a wealth manager, for example. You wanted to start generating new leads. Well, what you do is you would go into the third-party data, whichever provider you want to use, and you would say to them, okay, I need to start filling up my pipeline with new leads that are looking for wealth management services. So for example, you would start to have them put together audiences that are going to, or basically people that are currently in market looking for Charles Schwab or Edward Jones or Vanguard or any of these other ones that people are either currently in market looking for, been to their websites before, people who have actually worked with wealth managers in the past, things like that. And you can really start to zero in on these behavioral data points that make it so that your content is targeting somebody who's already ready to receive your message. So it's an already very well, warm, and qualified audience. You're shortening your sales cycle because there's less time that you have to explain to them what you do in your value proposition, because they already know the value of a wealth manager or this newest pair of shoes. And so now you're decreasing the sales cycle, you're decreasing the cost of sales. So when they convert, not only are you doing business with people who are already educated on your business, your product, and your service and what it will give for them, but your margins, your profit margins, your ROI, your return on ad spend, all of these things are going to increase because you had to spend less to get them, because they were more targeted. They were your ideal customer. They were ready to receive your message. So those are two ways that you guys can really start to fill up your funnel with your ideal prospects, and your funnel will act as an automated qualifying engine, which we'll get into here in a second, that makes it so that it is literally invisibly selling them for you, so that whenever they get to you and they're ready to convert, they're already educated on you and your business and what you can do for them. And they're all ready to basically sit there with a pen and say, where do I sign? Now, so we just talked about leads in terms of ideal leads. Nobody wants to, you want to make sure that you're filling up your pipeline with people who you wouldn't mind hanging out with every day, right? Because then going to work is fun. Then being at work and having calls and being in meetings, you're surrounding yourself with people that you like to do business with, that you wouldn't mind seeing at a barbecue, if you will. Because then it's just like we're constantly happy, right? We're doing business with people that we actually want to do business with. So then that brings it to, okay, I hear what you're saying, Alex, about these traffic sources and how to create custom audiences and third-party data that's going to fill up my pipeline and my funnel with people who I actually want to do business with. but how do I get them to become nurtured without me having to pick up the phone all the time, call them, get their voicemail, try to nurture them, and then convert them on the autopilot? I don't understand that. So what we do most of the time, let's take the real estate industry, for example. If you were to go to Berkshire Hathaway's website right now, let's say that you saw a property that you really liked, 9 chances out of 10, you're going to input your information to fill out what's called a form, a lead form, a contact form. You're going to hit submit, and all of those data points are going to go immediately to the agent that's representing that property. You might, very, very large emphasis on might, get an autoresponder or a confirmation email more commonly that talks about, hey, thank you so much. Very happy that you reached out to us, this, that, and the other thing. Basically sending you a confirmation, letting you know that we have received your message. But it can get so much more deeper than that and more automated to qualify and nurture that couple, that person that's ready to either buy or sell their home on autopilot. Because the thing is, everybody's buyer journey is different. Everybody's seller journey is different. Everybody's leads journey is different. Everybody's purchase journey in terms of DSW shoes is different. Everybody is always at a different part of the journey. So one size fits all is not going to work. You can't simply say, oh yeah, we have a digital marketing presence right now. We're all over social media. That's one component. But if somebody were to opt in, yeah, they might get a confirmation email from you, but where does it go after that? What if that particular real estate agent is like really busy right now? They get the prospect or the lead gets the confirmation email, but that agent doesn't follow up with them and nurture them for another 2 weeks after that. Well, guess what? You just paid for somebody to come into your funnel only to now badmouth you to your competitor because you weren't able to follow up with them and nurture them in enough time. And you weren't speaking to them based on their needs at the right time. But with automation, remember putting your leads and sales on autopilot, you can have automated behaviorally dynamic messaging that is speaking to them and educating them throughout your funnel when they are ready to receive your message. And of course, if you guys want to know more about that, support@convertsource.com. We'd be happy to have a conversation with you. It's literally our bread and butter. It's what we do all day, every day, putting your business and what's most valuable to you on autopilot. So of course, I could go into it. I could talk all day about it. But in terms of really keeping the show to being very informative, while at the same time making sure that you guys aren't falling asleep. Hopefully you're not driving and at the wheel. Once you filled your pipeline up with these sources that we talked about in the beginning of the show, we obviously need to make sure that we have an automated funnel that is nurturing our ideal customers that we have now filled up our funnel with, our pipeline with, but is providing automated education at the time that that prospect and lead is ready to receive your information, because that's whenever they're ready to buy. When you're sitting in a meeting and you've heard from mentors, you've heard from people all, throughout your career, that's a buying signal. When you walk onto a car lot and they say, does it come in red? Buying signal. Well, when somebody watches your content after they've already opted in and they then maybe fill out another form to an order form, something to buy a $7 ebook from you or a course or something, that's another buying signal. Of course, yes, it's a literal buying signal because they just exchanged a monetary transaction with you, but throughout the funnel, you're going to continue to offer them things that's going to lead to your massive product, mind-blowing service. And all of this was done with automated steps throughout your entire funnel, so that whenever it is time to come to the big main event, they're incredibly educated about you. They're the people that you want to do business with and that actually want to do business with you, who want to hear your message, who believe in your message, your expertise, your value proposition. And all of this is happening on autopilot. It's truly incredible. And now you literally have a pipeline full of people that are making it so that you can decrease your cost of sale, decrease your sales cycle, and increase your profitability. I mean, those are literally the three things, the holy grails of scaling your business. And also in that case, making you a happy camper, because now you're only dealing and working with people who you actually want to be around and who want to be around you. And all of this is possible with putting your leads and sales on autopilot. Guys, I hope that this was really informative for you. I hope that it got you really excited. Obviously, as you can hear in my voice, I got very jacked up about it. We talked about today literally how to target your ideal customers to then be able to fill up your funnel and pipeline with those folks, so that literally every single day, not only are you generating your leads and sales on autopilot while you're drinking, sleeping, breathing, on vacation, spending time with your family, you're literally getting dings on your phone. Hey, this person just purchased from you, or hey, this lead just came in, blah, blah, blah. But you're also, you have a system that is following up with them and nurturing them and providing more value until the very moment that they are ready to convert with you and become a customer with you. And all of it is on autopilot, happening while you're eating, drinking, sleeping, breathing, on vacation, playing with your kids, seeing your in-laws, spending time with your family, etc. So guys, I hope that this was really, really informative for you. I really enjoyed making this for you guys. I enjoy every week whenever I get to share this information with you. Anytime you guys want to be on the show, anytime you have a question, anytime you need something from us, support@convertsource.com. If you want to set up a call, support@convertsource.com. If you need an audit, if you need somebody to just look at your brand to see maybe where you're having a bunch of drop off and help you create a strategy to plug the gap or bridge the gap or plug the leaks, increase this, do this, blah, blah, blah. Support@convertsource.com. If you have any questions about the show and want to let us know how we're doing, support@convertsource.com. Guys, thank you so much. Be fantastic in your life. Our goal is to help millions of businesses around the world, because when we help them, we also help their end users. So our ripple effect to help other people continues to grow. And it literally is a success metric of ours. Thank you so much. God bless. And we can't wait to see you next week, guys.
When you want your leads and sales on autopilot and to accelerate your business, you come to the source. The Convert Source Podcast with Alex Kubasek. Let's go.